everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Debbie and I'm on the creative design team at 씨직스코리아, and everybody loves a cupcake, and who wouldn't love a gift in this little cupcake box? I'm going to walk you through all the tips that you need to do to create this, whether you're going to frost it with strawberry frosting, chocolate frosting, any simple buttercream, anything tasty. Who wouldn't love this? Whether you're putting little treats inside, jewelry inside, everybody loves this, and it's somebody's birthday somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to the overhead camera and walk you through all the steps to create this adorable box. I love the name of the die set for this cute cupcake. Fabulous Cupcake Box by Debbie Potter. I mean, can't get any better than that, right? So all the pieces that you see here are all created with this die set. And guess what? It's only 2 dies in this set. Now you will need the plus machine because it's a little bit larger than our 6-inch machine that has the 6-inch opening. But this whole piece, you cut it one time and just has the little scalloped edge to decorate your cupcakes and your cupcake packaging, I should say. And how cute is that? Switch it up by adding a little piece of paper that has an adhesive backing or any kind of adhesive that you like to use, whether it's liquid or double-sided adhesive tape. I use our adhesive sheets that already makes it a sticker. And I'll show you, I laid it on this bottom piece, cut it off in the score lines, and it's ready to go to add to make a cute little cupcake liner for your cupcakes, for your little sweet treat. So I'm going to put this aside. So like I said, just 2 dies, and the instructions are inside, shows you exactly just photo images on how you need to put it together, but I'm going to walk you through it so you can see step by step how to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my Big Shot Plus machine. This has a 9-inch opening, which is obviously larger than our 6-inch one, way larger than our Sidekick, and the same as the Big Shot switch, but I'm going to go ahead and use the regular Big Shot machine and walk you through it. So here's the one die that creates the actual cupcake. You'll see all of these score lines here. These are the ones that you're going to need to fold your pieces just to create that one area, especially this part. This is the part that has a little bit more detail that you're going to want to make sure that is all folded perfectly along the score line. So I'm going to go ahead, run it through. I need my platform and my adapter A. Now remember, the adapter A shows you what you need to do on this panel, and this is the part for any type of die cutting with your thinlets or framelets. Cutting pad on top. I'm sure you all know this. I just like to say it as I go, just in case you have a couple questions along the way. So make sure that you have the blade against the textured side of your paper. So always remember, the good side of the paper is against the blade. And I'm going to run it through, make sure it's all covered. If I do it like this area here is not going to cut. It'll cut, but it'll cut off the paper, and you don't want that to happen. So I have it all centered. Bring it up to the camera so you can see. This is the pattern, sorry, not the pattern, the textured side of the paper, and the blade down against the textured side. Make sure the entire bladed area is completely covering the paper. And I'll need another cutting pad on top. Now you hear a lot of crackling. That doesn't mean anything's being ruined. It's just letting you know that the blade is hitting your cutting pads and going through the actual cardstock. And let me start this over. James, if you could edit that part, that would be great, or add it to the bloopers. And then when I lift it up, you will be able to see that it cut through and scored exactly where it needs to be cut and scored. And take that out. And now you can see the score lines right along here and down here, okay? So now I'm going to move my machine aside. Actually, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut all the other pieces so we can have it all ready to go. So like I said, if I wanted to do the pattern cupcake liner, I'm going to choose a cardstock pattern or solid that I like, and I'm going to put an adhesive backing. I like to use adhesive backing because once it's cut, it's already a sticker, so I don't have to worry about that. Or I could use a glue stick, a good glue stick that'll make sure it'll adhere down, because when it's folded along the score lines and going against your actual cupcake, you want to make sure that it adheres well. Okay, so I'm going to first, you want to pop out these, even though I don't need them right now for this particular part. I just like to make sure when I start again that I have a clean die set. So using my die pick and the poke holes, these come out perfectly. You could actually save these if you do them in multiple colors. And how cute would they be? Oops, for sprinkles on your cupcake. That's another fun idea. Darn it, I should have thought of that sooner. Okay, so next I'm going to do, like I said before, I want to lay the good side of the paper against the bladed area. The bladed area that I want to do is the lower half, not this part, the lower half. This would be my cupcake liner paper, the part that you put in your little muffin tin. All right, I'm going to do blade side up. It doesn't matter on this machine, only because I want to make sure my whole area is covered, and it is. So let me go ahead and run that through. So I'm not going to worry about all this part that didn't cut, because that's the part that it did cut. That's the part I don't need. I'm going to go ahead and cut it on the score lines. But before I do that part, I'm going to do a couple more cuts, and I'm going to do them at the same time because I still have a good area of my workspace to be able to cut. So I want to do my little scalloped edge that kind of finishes off the cupcake liner, and I'm going to cut this. I already have one cut, so I don't have to run it through twice, because you need two for your cupcake to go all the way around it. So I'm going to do one here, and I also want to add another color to my hearts that are at the top. Now, since these are going to be a mirror image, they're going to be back to back. So I'm going to lay a piece of red cardstock, crimson red from our festive die set, and I'm going to lay that on there. Make sure this is not going to be hitting anything. Let me move this over. Just save time so I can do them both at the same time, hopefully. Okay, so the good side of the paper is going to be on the heart like that. Now, you want to remember that you're going to be doing the other heart back to back. So one of them has to be the opposite. So I'm going to do the good side of the paper against the heart blade, and the wrong side of the paper on this one against the heart blade, because they're going to be mirror image and you want to make sure they match up. So those are ready to go. And let me go ahead and run this through the machine. That one shifted a little bit because of the static, so I'll move that back on there. Okay. A lot of crackling going on, but don't worry about that. So I have one heart. I got the other heart. I'm going to trim around those because I don't need that other area at the base. So they both have the adhesive sheet on the back, so they'll be ready to adhere down. And then I also have my scalloped edge. Let me take my die pick, because this one just got a little stuck in there. Doesn't ruin the material, and that is ready to go. Now let me put my machine aside because I'm done with this. And now let me show you how to get this all fun and ready to go. Okay, so the score lines here on my cupcake liner are right here along the edge. Since I made sure that full area was covered, now I know that it's going to be cutting, it's going to be a straight line for me to cut. So I'm going to trim that down on all the straight lines. Now you can save your excess, just because you might be able to use it, since it's already has adhesive backing, for anything later, like maybe the sprinkles of the cupcake, or cutting out hearts for another project, or decorating little dots on your cupcake liner. So I'm just going to keep cutting it around right on the score lines. and it'll line up perfectly onto your cupcake because you use the same die set and you know it matches up perfectly. Okay, that is ready to go. Now I'm going to take my cupcake itself. So what I like to do is I'm going to fully score all the lines are scored. I'm going to fold it on every area. So I like to fan fold it first just to give it the exact pressure that it needs. And then I'm going to take my tool here. I'm going to fan fold it. And then you're going to see why I need to do that, because one area is going to be going one direction. And the other area is going to be going another direction. Okay, so now you see how it's going like that. Now the part here, what you want to do is this one area here that kind of looks like it's a heart shape. That's the part that's going to be in here. So as you can see, this one is folded in like a valley, but the one right below it is folded up like a mountain. So that's why I went back and forth, because now this one is folded in. Now I'm just going to make sure I do pressure here to make sure that one's folded up. And then I'm going to fold this one in, a little bit more pressure, because I know this one down below was already folded like a mountain. So I'm just going to keep going all the way around that way. The next part, this is the tricky part. So if you can see these score lines have a curve. Now that's kind of tricky to fold on a curve because regularly you would fold a straight line. So this one's tricky. You just want to just push down and just kind of curve it around like this. Same with this next side. You're going to push down because this part here is protruded up like a mountain. And the one next to it is pointed in like a valley. And this one is a mountain. So you're going mountains and valleys all the way around. What this kind of part here reminds me of is, remember the little fortune tellers you did in class? This part reminds me of that, just because you want to make sure it is folded in, and then you put your finger in there just to make sure it goes down. And the same with this side here. This one goes in, and then you want to bring this one like that, and the one next to it. It just kind of goes along with it as you go. And you'll see it when you're trying to assemble yours, you'll see how it just kind of folds into place as you go. Because of the pressure of the machine, on the Plus machine, whether you're using the Big Shot switch or whether you're using the Big Shot Plus manual one, the pressure is a lot more. So it's perfect for dies like this that have a lot of score lines. So remember, this part here in the center goes in. This part in the next to it goes up. So this part kind of reminds me of a heart, like I said. So this would go in like this. And this one goes up, and this one goes in, and this one goes up. Okay. Now I'm just going to show you really quick, and I have one that's already done. Now you want to just fold down all of these other score lines. These are easy just because they're scored perfectly, and they are also a straight line. You don't have to worry about pressing your finger in for you to make sure that it is a rounded score line. The straight lines are obviously a lot easier. So here's the final side. This one goes this way. Just kind of rub your finger along it until you kind of realize, okay, it's got the right shape. Same with this side here. You see the score line there. Okay. Then all these pieces here, the little tabs, just fold those down. I like to manipulate them back and forth just twice, only because it'll give it a good foundation and firmness when you're assembling the actual box. So here's one that I've already done, ready to go. So if you can see, this is how it's going to look. Just kind of, I put one finger in there, pinch it. This one's here. Pinch it. So you just go all the way around. All these little tabs are all folded. I forgot to refold this one. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just do my adhesive, and I'm going to use our express glue. I'm just going to put a little puddle here off to the side so I can dab my finger in it. So all the parts that you see that have a tab, those are the sides that you're going to put in adhesive, whether you're using a tape, a double-sided tape, or an actual wet glue. And then you're going to match it up with the straight edge of the side next to it. And you know it's going to match up perfectly because the sides are met matched up perfectly to adhere down. So you're going to lay it down like that. So straight edge against straight edge. Sorry, it shifted as I lifted. Shifted as I lifted. So you get to choose the icing on the cake. So this one in particular is chocolate, just because I need a little chocolate today. Hope I didn't put enough glue on there. But depends on what you want to bake with that day, or whoever's receiving the gift. If they love chocolate, this is the one for them. If they like strawberry, which is perfectly in season because it's that time of year, and this is when this is released during springtime, spring and summertime, so it's perfect. And cupcakes make everybody happy. So a gift inside of a cupcake, how great is that? So I'm going to let that sit just for a second. My fingers are nice and dirty, so don't mind those. Okay, this last tab is this long one. I'm going to put a little dab of glue on here. Wipe off the excess so it doesn't get all over the rest of the box. I'm going to just kind of lay those little tabs inside. And since this is a straight line against the straight line of the score on the one that matches up against it, you know it's going to match up perfectly. Just hold that side down just to get it a little dry. So this will give a more of a substantial base to your box with these two adhered down there. So I'm just going to put it down there. And you see those little triangle ones on the inside? Those will stay unadhered. You can adhere them if you'd like, but they stay flat and they just kind of lay up against it. Okay, so now what you want to do is I'm going to trim these little hearts that I had cut just so I can have them adhered to the heart there, and then ready to close it all up. So I'm going to trim off these edges. Now remember, it's not a pointed heart base because it has this base here. So it's not going to be a point. Make sure that stays glued. So it depends on what you're going to put inside of your box. You can glue those tabs down just to give it a firmer base, or you can just cut a circle, a panel on the inside just to make sure that it does stay down. So since there's nothing in this box, it's a little light, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the base. So I actually am going to glue up those triangles. Not completely necessary, but it does help with giving it a little more of a substantial, heavier bottom. So whatever you put inside will stay down. So I changed my mind. I think I do like the base adhered. It's up to you. I think it's a personal preference. Put something light in there, like some light dollar bills. That would be a nice little added treat. Or you could throw them off and put something heavy in there and then money. That'll make them even more excited. So like I showed you before, I had done this in two. I cut that with the wrong side against the blade and one with the right side against the blade, just because I know they're going to be matching up against each other, and you want to make sure that it does stay adhered, or so the mirror image will make sense. So now you want to make sure that these little slits are going right into the hearts. So you're going to put the two hearts together like this because you want them to thread through these slits at the same time. So two hearts, I like to grab the one on the left first and thread both of the heart lobes through. Now the one on the right. And be mindful as you're doing it. You want to make sure that these are staying as they should as they're going through. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and thread this here through there like that. Be careful because those hearts with the adhered red on it, you want to make sure it doesn't tear. And now for the last one. How yummy does that look? Looks good already. That's a muffin. Muffins don't have, well, they do have a decorative tin, but they don't have a cherry on top, but that looks like a delicious muffin. Now I'm hungry. So here's the little piece that I had cut. This is the paper liner for your cupcake. Like I showed you, I had already put adhesive sheets on the back. peel it all the way off. And I like to find the edge where it started or where it ended. So this is the part that I'm going to lay it up against. Just rub it down and continue along. As you go, lift it and don't bear down too hard as you go, because you want to make sure it stays right on the score line as you go. So the score line is going to match up with the score line of your cupcake. Just continue along. You could use a wet glue instead of the adhesive sheets, depends on what you have handy or what your preference is, but they do match up perfectly. Just rub it along as you go. If you want to, if you're not sure if the ends will adhere down, since that's the part that might pull away, you can use a wet glue in addition to your adhesive sheet, but our adhesive sheets are pretty strong, so that was a perfect way to go. Now, I had already cut 2 of my little scalloped edges, and this was the one die that also came with the die set. So that's the edge I used. Now you do need 2 pieces to create the full area that you want to line it up against on the cupcake box. So peel off the adhesive backing or whatever adhesive you're using, and it's a straight edge, so the straight edge will line up against the straight edge. So I'm going to bear down, just kind of rub it as I go. And keep going all the way around. Lift it a little bit if you think you went off the edge a tad, like I just did. And if you're happy with how it went, just rub it again. And here's the final little added piece. Find my edge. And then I'm just going to match it up against there. And keep going. This is a little box of folded sweetness that you are going to fill with somebody's favorite treat. How adorable is this? Now I'm hungry. I'm going to run off to the bakery. I hope you've loved this. It's so much fun to put together. Have a bunch of pieces already cut, a bunch of different flavored batter, a bunch of different cupcake liners, scallops, add some little perils along the side, add some little adhesive sheets, maybe a little sprinkle of paint, take your little acrylic paints and flick it onto here, multiple colors, a little confetti cake. How cute is that? No need to preheat your oven with this one. How adorable is that? I hope I've inspired you to run out and get your cupcake box die set. The possibilities are endless. Everybody loves something handmade, and a cupcake box homemade with love and filled with sweet delights. I'm sure whoever receives it is going to be thrilled beyond belief. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.